Let's just jump right into this explainer on Ambarella. Today we're tearing down the underlying tech, the raw financials, and the highly volatile stock price projections all the way out to 2050. Look, if you're a professional investor or a portfolio manager trying to map out the edge AI semiconductor landscape, this is a ticker that absolutely demands your attention right now.
So, to kick things off, we really have to look at the immediate technical analysis. It poses a critical question for anyone managing a portfolio and trying to balance risk and reward in our current market environment. The technical indicators are flashing some pretty intense signals right now, and we need to decode exactly what the algorithms are seeing.
Well, StockScan's aggressive high forecast for 2027 sits at an eye-watering $225.08. That represents a massive potential upside that instantly grabs your attention, right? But as we all know, a sky-high forecast is just one side of a very complex coin. We've got to figure out the actual path to get there, and more importantly, the risks that could completely derail it.
To figure out exactly what the market is pricing in here, here's our roadmap for today. Number 1. The bullish 2026 forecast. Number 2, Ambarella's technological engine. Number 3, the fundamental reality check. Number 4, comparing the competition. And finally, number 5, the long-term horizon.
Let's start with Section 1, the bullish 2026 forecast, focusing on technical indicators and short-term price targets.
The consensus of the oscillators here is honestly fascinating. Out of 18 technical indicators analyzed by StockScan, 13 are signaling a buy, and that really forms the bedrock of their strong buy rating. You'll notice the MACD and the average directional index, or ADX, are both signaling strong upward momentum. Plus, the RSI is sitting comfortably neutral at 65.34. Basically, that means the stock isn't technically overbought yet, so it still has room to run in the short term.
And that exact momentum is what drives the 2026 average forecast up to $108.94. We're talking about a 51% surge from its baseline pricing. Obviously, the quant models absolutely love this setup for a short to medium-term play.
Moving on to Section 2, Ambarella's technological engine. This is the hardware actually fueling the hype. Because let's be real, raw stock numbers and moving averages just aren't enough for professional investors making long-term bets. We need to ground this in physical reality and look at the actual silicon Ambarella is making. The core of their offering is their proprietary CV Flow architecture. It's an algorithm-first design that handles heavy computer vision processing while basically just sipping power. And in the world of edge AI, where devices like cameras, drones, and cars simply don't have massive power supplies to rely on, performance per watt is the holy grail. Ambarella's architecture is perfectly suited for exactly those kinds of applications.
Their pipeline is undeniably cutting edge. Take the CV3 AD685, for example. It's a 5-nanometer domain controller built specifically for autonomous vehicles. It boasts 20 times the neural network processing speed of their previous generation and is heavily targeting Level 2+ to Level 4 autonomous driving alongside major Tier 1 partners like Bosch, Continental, and Inceptio. On top of that, they've just launched the CV7, a 4-nanometer system-on-chip for 8K vision that gives a 2.5 times AI boost while consuming 20% less power. The engineering going on here is genuinely top tier.
All right, Section 3, the fundamental reality check, where we start peeling back the financial headwinds.
So the tech sounds fantastic, right? But before we get totally swept up in the engineering hype, prepare for some fundamental whiplash. Ambarella posted a net income for fiscal year 2024 of negative $169 million. Yeah, for a company pushing revolutionary tech, this is a very harsh reality of their current balance sheet.
The crucial point here is understanding exactly how we get to a number like that. When we break down their 2024 financials, the dichotomy becomes super clear. On one hand, they generated $226 million in top-line revenue. But on the other hand, heavy operational costs, scaling challenges, and massive industry-wide inventory issues are just bleeding the bottom line. It's resulting in an operating income of negative $155 million, driving that ultimate $169 million net loss.
A huge catalyst for this fundamental bear case actually comes down to geopolitics. Ambarella lost major Chinese clients, including absolute security camera titans like Hikvision and Dahua, and this was a direct result of U.S. regulatory blacklists. This severely damaged their legacy Internet of Things and security camera revenue streams, which basically forced them to lean even harder into the highly competitive automotive sector just to replace those lost sales.
That brings us to Section 4, comparing the competition. Ambarella versus the industry heavyweights.
Because in semiconductors, you definitely don't operate in a vacuum. Let's compare Ambarella to one of their most direct rivals, Mobileye.
On one side, you have Mobileye, spun off from Intel, armed with dominant scale in the advanced driver assistance systems market, and boasting expanding gross margins that are sitting around 71%. Then, on the other side, you have Ambarella, fighting those inventory issues we just talked about, currently unprofitable and dealing with contracting margins that have dipped down to about 63.1%. In the semiconductor business, scale literally equals survival, and Mobileye currently has the high ground.
And honestly, the threat isn't just Mobileye's IQ Ultra chip either. Ambarella is fighting a multi-front war. They are up against absolute behemoths like NVIDIA and Qualcomm, who are aggressively pushing their massive resources into the automotive AI and IoT markets. Essentially, Ambarella is a smaller player desperately trying to defend its niche against dogs with very, very deep pockets.
Finally, Section 5, the long-term horizon. Let's synthesize the 2030 to 2050 projections.
Okay, so how do we reconcile these extremely bullish short-term technicals with the sobering fundamental headwinds to create a decades-long outlook? Well, synthesizing everything we've covered, analysts are projecting a severe dip down into the $40 range, averaging $49.69 by 2030, as the current financial headwinds, inventory gluts, and intense competition fully play out. But if their CV3 and CV7 architectures can secure enough market share in the autonomous vehicle boom, we see a modest recovery to $54.57 by 2040, potentially pushing the stop to a high of $130.98 by 2050. It's a classic valley of death scenario that they have to successfully cross first.
As the Motley Fool points out so well here, survival to 2050 absolutely requires immense scale, and right now, Ambarella is still a distant underdog. The massive spread between the high and low estimates for the 2040s and 2050s perfectly highlights the market's extreme uncertainty. The real question is, will they be swallowed whole by competitors, or will their highly efficient CV flow technology make them an indispensable Tier 1 supplier?
So I'll leave you with this final provocative thought to debate and analyze for your own portfolios. In what could ultimately be a winner-take-all edge AI market by the time we hit 2050, does Ambarella's cutting-edge pipeline actually justify braving these massive short-term financial storms? The technology is brilliant, for sure, but the business battlefield is brutal. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep your eyes on the silicon.